Hi, everybody. It's Jeff Mays. As a business and personal development coach, I find quite often that my clients, there's really not that much going on in their world other than the way they think. And tonight, I'd like to talk about the way we think and how we can take advantage of knowing how we think going through this crisis that we're going through. I know that many of you, including myself, have had to shut down your business and stay home, or have been suggested you do that, and you're probably doing it if you've been asked to. I know that others of you are out of work, that maybe you're having a difficult time and just maybe freaking out. I understand that. But tonight I'd like to just take a few minutes and talk about how we think and talk about how we can use that knowledge to our advantage as we go through this situation that we're in right now. The world really needs to understand this, and I hope you'll take a few minutes and run through it with me so maybe your mind can calm down and relax a little bit now that you know how it works. When we talk about the mind and the way your mind thinks, very few of us have a picture of the mind. And I think it's really important to realize that nobody's ever said, hey, this is what your mind looks like. And because we don't know what it looks like, we don't know how to deal with it. Well, today, I want to share with you about a man back in 1936 by the name of Dr. Thurman Fleet, who came up with a little drawing to help his clients understand how the mind works. And therefore, he was able to really help a lot of folks understand. And since then, other people, like Bob Proctor, have been out teaching this little stick person demonstration to many people. And it's been helpful. I saw it about 10 or 11 years ago for the first time, and I, for the first time, understood how my mind worked, and I started to understand how it really affected what I was doing. So tonight I'm going to share the stick person with you, and I think the stick person is a good lesson, and you can use it to teach almost anything, as you're going to see. So the stick person is really a simple little drawing. It's two circles with a few lines, and the top circle we're going to let represent our mind. The bottom circle we're going to let represent the body. Now, the body is truly an instrument of the mind. And for some people, you may think the mind is like the brain. Well, that is part of the mind, but every cell of our body is part of the mind. We're able to use the mind in ways that we really don't even totally understand, but we know that it works. So I want to talk a little bit about how this works and how we can understand the mind. So we're going to take the mind and we're going to cut it into two parts. On the top part, we're going to call it the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is our thinking mind. It's our intellectual mind. It's the mind that we use to take everything in from the outside world and to process it. As the bottom part is the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is totally different. It's the part of your mind that can't accept or reject. It can only take what you give yourself in your conscious mind by thinking, and and processes. And as it processes it, it goes through and it creates feelings in your mind, and in your body becomes an emotion. So let's talk about how this works. Especially in this kind of time, it's important to understand the factors that we all have that are involved with how this works. We have five senses, and those senses are to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And each of those senses relates to our mind, and our mind is able to either accept or reject what it wants to believe. So we have the ability to accept what we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, or we can say, nah, I don't think so. So you think about that. Maybe you see something that you just don't want to see, and you blow it out of your mind. Have you ever had that happen, where you've seen something, you just go, I don't really want that to happen? Well, you've not accepted the input that came in through that little antenna called see, And now you've said, I'm not going to accept that. Well, really important. We're able to block out any of those things, and we're able to build and change things in our mind the way we want to. It's called creativity lots of times, right? Sometimes you'll see something or hear something or maybe even have a dream. And the next day you'll wake up and go, man, I need to go make that. Have you ever had that happen? Maybe it's to call a friend, maybe it's to talk to somebody, maybe it's to do something. But whatever it is, you're able to understand from what the input was how it should happen, and it works right through your conscious mind. Your conscious mind then transfers it through thoughts into your subconscious mind, which creates feelings. And as those feelings come through, we get emotions in our body, and we're feeling like we need to do something or we have to express ourselves in a certain way. And we do that. It's just kind of an automatic process. Once we have those thoughts and we accept them, the rest of it just happens. And it can happen pretty doggone quick. So, what happens after that? Well, we go take action. Our emotions cause us to take actions, good or bad, and then we get results, good or bad. Well, that model, and I've simplified it here somewhat, there's more to it, but that model is something that we can use to understand what's going on in our world today. We've had a lot going on, and a lot of us are having to take things in and understand what's going on. So let's look at what's going on today in our world. Well, we've got the same little stick person. He's got his two parts of his mind, and he's got his body. Well, there's two ways to change the subconscious mind. One is through constant spaced repetition, which is through learning. The other one is through shock. And I have to say, we've had a shock. So that shock, we're going to call the virus. We all know what it is. The virus has been just transmitted to us over and over and over again by newspapers, by TV, by the politics, by anything that you can pick up and read today. It's talking about various parts of this virus and how bad it is. That shock is coming right into our minds, and it's creating some really negative thoughts. Now, remember, I said a minute ago, there's really only two ways to change that subconscious mind, and this is one of them. When that shock happens, it goes through, and our thought process doesn't even really have a chance to catch up with, because those negative thoughts, that bad stuff that's coming through, is coming through so fast and so strong, and it's creating such a fear factor in us that we get this fight or flight response happening. That's nature. Nature's kicking in. Have you noticed how irritable you are? Have you noticed how you just want to get up and go? Have you noticed the fear that's building in your body? And that fear is really, it's all of a natural response here to what we're seeing and what we're hearing and what we're finding out in every way. You know, as we're pulled into our houses and we can't go out and eat what we want, we can't go do what we want, a lot of things are happening that are causing this real negativity and real confusion in our minds. So what happens in this case is we've got really bad thoughts, we've got this emotional response that's nothing less than fear, and the fear is causing a reaction. It's not really a thought process as much as it is, it's just a reaction. And maybe you're seeing that in the fact that people are panicking. Maybe you felt panic. Maybe you have a real desire to hoard things, or we've seen people hoarding all sorts of things. It doesn't make sense. How long will it take you to eat or drink that anyway? When you have that fear, the reaction is not logical. There's no real good to it. There's stress. There's anxiety. Anxiety really doesn't express itself other than through other things. The anxiety that we're having is coming out through stress. It's coming out through our inability to do things. Maybe we can't make decisions. Maybe we're irritable all the time. Maybe we're negative towards everybody around us. No wonder. Look at what's happening. This is a tough process. The negative emotions that we're having can do nothing positive. It can only be negative. And if we let ourselves get down into this, we end up with dis-ease. And that dis-ease is what causes sickness. It's what causes bad things to happen. And if it goes on long enough, untreated and not being responded to properly, you end up with disintegration. And disintegration is the opposite of creation, and it actually creates death or worse. So from the disintegration, things can get worse, much worse. And you have to realize that as that disintegration happens, you need to pull out of it. You need to find a way around how you're thinking and what you're thinking in order to come back around. So what's the opposite of disintegration? It's creation. You know, disease and disease, the opposite is abundance and health, and disintegration, the opposite is nothing more or nothing less than creativity. So as you start to get some creative thoughts while you're listening to this, I want you to think how we overcome this. And we overcome this, as our little stick person's going to, is that we've still got this virus out there. We still know it's happening. We still know that it's real. It's maybe getting worse every day like it did this week. It's not going to go away quickly, but we have to come to grips with it in our mind. We have to come up with some sort of an idea so we can deal with this. And what I would suggest is that you go do your research. You look at what the virus is, who it affects, determine if you're at risk. If you're in a high-risk group, take big precautions. If you're not in a high-risk group, don't take the super precautions, but definitely take all the precautions that they're asking you to take. Washing your hands, going outside to get fresh air, doing things with a distance between yourself and other people. We're calling it social distancing, right? And that means stay away from other people by a little bit. But figure out what you need to do. Get the knowledge, get the information that you need, and then let your mind rest. You're going to do everything that you need to do. Make yourself a list of what you need to do and do it. Do it every day. That way you're going to feel that you have more control. You know, when you react to something, you have no control. The thing that you're reacting to has all the control over you. So what we're trying to do with this knowledge is to, rather than react, we want to respond. We want to change the way we deal with things so that we're in control, so we don't have all those issues that we just talked about. Another great idea is to limit media. I know I've limited myself to like a half-hour news show period, no more. I'm really, at the last week, I haven't listened to the news at all. I was finding that when I listened to the news, I'd become so depressed, I'd just start crying. I know that's weird, and I don't really know why, but it's something that was happening every time I listened to the news, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's draining me physically and emotionally. There's so much bad happening, I need to let it go. So I've just cut it off. I've said, I'll jump on the internet, I'll look at factual, data-based websites that I know where it's happening, I'll find out what's happening, I'll understand it, I'll spend a few minutes every day kind of digesting it, and I actually made a spreadsheet so I could see what is happening. But when I did that, all of a sudden, my whole mindset changed. I started to really change, and I figured out what I needed to do. I'm maybe in a little higher risk group than some people because of my age and some of my health stuff, but I decided I was going to take certain precautions. I shut down my office before it was required. I decided I wasn't going to see clients unless it was really important. Insurance, my main business, is still open, but we're able to control that. I learned how to use things like Zoom to meet with clients. I did a lot of things that I could do that would give me control over the situation, when in reality, the situation's controlling a lot of people around me. So what happens when that happens? All those things, that research, the knowledge, the limiting the negativity and the bad media, and making sure that I know all those precautions, what's happening with that? I'm being able to now choose my thoughts. And as I choose my thoughts, I'm able to take a little better look at things so I don't get overwhelmed by them. I think it's really important that you're not losing your ability to choose. As soon as you get really emotional and you see yourself going in ways that you normally wouldn't, you're losing your ability to choose. So choose your thoughts. Get back to that point where you can. And then as soon as you do that, you're going to find that you start to feel better. You know, it's almost overnight. It's just like click, it goes. Your mind is able to rest. You say, I've got everything under control. I have control of the situation as best I can. Nobody else could do it better than me for me. And I'm going to do it this way. And once you make those decisions and you're able to put that into your thought process, one, you start feeling better, but two, you start to really calm down. You find that you relax. You find that you're able to sleep again. You find that things are starting to work better. Everything in your mind, everything about maybe you're still working or maybe you're not, but your calmness of mind is a beautiful thing, and you're able to start to calm down and understand that no matter what happens, it's for our best. We want to to survive this. We want to come through this as best as possible. Calmness is a whole lot better than getting crazy, and it gives us the ability to respond. We're able to think things through logically, and that our results would start to change. I think as our results change, we're going to see more patience. We're not going to be as impatient with people. We're not going to feel as hurried. We're going to give people the benefit to talk and express themselves, maybe without getting mad. We're going to have more understanding of the situation, and we're going to be able to help others with that understanding. I think that's a really big plus as you understand it is what it is, right? We can't change some things. We can change our response to it, but we can't change the situation. So as you understand and you start to feel better, more calm, and getting back to more normal, you're going to find that working together with people, that helping people, that the people within your house, whether it's your kids or your spouse, everybody's going to calm down. I've talked to a few friends this week whose spouses have left. And, that's tough. It's tough during any time, but it's really tough when you're at this time where we have so much going on. So if you're alone, really work on taking this idea into your mind. You understand how your mind works now. All you need to do is just practice and really keep track of your thoughts and what you're doing so you're able to really start to calm down. And then, as we calm down and as society, I wish everybody could do this. I wish everybody could take a deep breath, calm down and not panic, and work with each other in harmony. Because what we really need to do is to move ourselves, each and every one of us, into health and well-being. There's a lot of creative ways that you can do things, whether it's getting exercise or doing projects around your house. But to start getting that well-being that's normal, because you are normally well, right? But to get back to that point and to really be able to express it again, I think this is the way you do it, by understanding. Knowledge and understanding can make it all work for you. So let's talk a little bit about mindset, because I think a lot of people, well, all of us, for the most part, the 1 or 2% that are susceptible to this disease may have a problem, but the rest of us are going to have a great opportunity to come through this. I think the damage to 99% or so of the people that are going through this challenge in the world right now is not going to be their physical body, it's going to be their mental attitude. It's going to be their inability to deal with what happens now until we're back to a more normal state. So as those mindset challenges come forth, and I know they are, I mean, they've come forth for me and they're going to come forth for everybody, but really focus on doing something that's positive. For me, I'm reading something new every day. I've picked up a couple of new things that I'm reading, and I'm really working on that. So I'd suggest read something. Maybe you haven't read a book in years. Maybe it's time to pick something up. or grab your iPad or your whatever and jump on Kindle and get books. Real easy to do. Learn about a new subject. I'm not necessarily doing that, but I'm certainly trying to conquer a couple of programs on the computer right now. And I said, this is a great time to do that. I'm going to have extra time. Rather than sit around and watch TV or do something else, I'm going to put my effort into doing something that's going to help me down the road. Probably help me right now, actually, if I could conquer a couple of them. But by conquering something new or learning a new subject or learning a new language or whatever it might be, your mind gets going. And you know what? Just like me today, I've spent 4 or 5 hours doing stuff down here in my office on a Sunday afternoon when I'd normally be out doing things with people. It helped me get through that time without getting really bored, depressed, or lonely. And it's really important to keep your mindset going. And then get outside and enjoy a walk in the fresh air. I don't think anybody's suggesting you don't go walking. They're suggesting you keep a space so that people, if they are sick, you're not talking to them or getting too close to them. But getting outside and enjoying a walk. I've walked more this week, and I've noticed a lot of people outside walking this week. So I think it's really a great idea. It also gets your mind going because when you're out in nature, you're going to start to get ideas. In fact, this morning, the idea for this video came to me while I was walking my dog. Don't know why that is, right? The creative powers in nature seem to get us going in a creative way sometimes. So get out and enjoy a good walk. Enjoy the fresh air. You know, even if it's raining, we walk whether it's rain or shine. But when you get outside and you do things, it really helps. It's a great time to contact family, friends, old acquaintances, maybe people you haven't talked to for a while. What a great idea just to call them up and say, hey, how you doing? How are you getting through this? And spend a few minutes talking to them. Maybe it's somebody that you haven't talked to. I had a message yesterday from somebody about 10 years I haven't talked to, and you just wanted to check in on me. That's pretty cool. It makes you feel good, but if you do it, it'll make you feel good for doing it too. So make sure you do that. Reach out to somebody today. And then remember, things will get better. It's going to pass. You know, in the history of the world, if you go back and you look at all the written documentation that you can find, you're going to find there's been plagues, there's been famines, there's been diseases. They didn't know what to call them back then, but they're probably viruses. And all those things have come and gone. They run their course. There's a bell curve. They get really bad, and then they get better. And as that happens, as we go through that bell curve, don't give up. Don't give up on one opportunity, but two, don't give up on anything. You need to be here when we're ready to go, right? There's going to be opportunity coming out the other side of this thing that's going to be great. And I just want you to keep a really good attitude for that, because no matter how dark it gets in the middle, the end's going to be a bright light, and it's going to be wonderful. So keep the faith. You know, if nothing else, through all this, keep the faith. Whatever your faith is in, believe in it. Mine's in God, and I put all my trust in God. And I don't suggest you have to do that, but I suggest that you do pray for our country, pray for our leaders, pray for the world, and pray for those that are sick. Because if you know somebody that's sick, you know, a special prayer for them. But everybody in the world that's being affected by this needs your thoughts. They need your prayer. We can change a lot of things just with our thoughts. And remember that thoughts, they have to be, they're creative powers. They're things that can be used for creation and restoration and rebuilding and renewing. And use your thoughts to build the world back to where it was. I'm calm today. I'm excited about the future. And I'm really hoping that this video has helped you today. If it has, please like and share it. And drop me a note if you have a minute. You know, sometimes when we do these kind of videos, we don't hear back and your mind kind of goes sideways and you go, well, maybe nobody liked it. But if you have a minute, just drop me a note. I'd really appreciate it. I hope everything's going well for you. If you need my thoughts and my prayers, please drop me a note. and let me know. I appreciate you. Have a great evening and have a great week. Talk soon.